So the first thing is that I took this piece of pallet apart and I ended up with a 2x4 with a lot of nails. So first step is take the nails out, which you would think is a pretty easy thing. Tried a couple of attempts, but finally gave up and decided to bring in the big artillery. God, I love this tool. Took me about 10 seconds, all those nails came out. Then just use a hammer or a crowbar and pull them out from the other side unless they popped out. Easy job. Use the magnets to find a couple of nails that fell down. Cutting the 2x4 to a certain length, I fit it on the lathe. After I put it in there pretty securely, I did a little spin test, make sure everything would be okay. Then I roughed it down so that it would be at least a little bit circular. That took a little bit of time. This wood's pretty dry, so it was a little bit interesting, but didn't take too long and wasn't too difficult. Once I got something that's pretty round, I decided to smooth it up and finally sand it down. Smooth to the touch. I took away a little bit of material so that I would see exactly where I would cut these. These were going to be the hooks so that I can hang the hats on it. Does look pretty good if I say so myself. Using an oscillating saw, I started to separate the pieces from each other, and then very delicately, I pushed through one by one. I thought this was a little bit safer than a few other techniques that I've seen. It's not overly dangerous, so I ended up with 4 odd-sized dowels. Taking the rest of the 2x4, I decided to mark where I was going to mount those little dowels. I wanted it to be relatively center, although I didn't think too much about it. Kind of eyeballed it a little bit and just drew a couple of lines. Once I got all my spots marked up, I punched through with a drill. I was going to glue these things, but after a little bit of experimentation, it wasn't going to be very practical. So I decided to use some screws with glue to actually fasten the pieces. So here I'm using a countersink bit to basically make sure that I can push those screws so that they're flush with the wood. And after that, I basically push those screws through so they'd be ready. I then started to turn the piece over so I could sand it. Note to self, sanding when the screws are not there is a lot easier, faster, but it's not as fun when it comes to making a couple of sparks, which is okay. First dowel is installed. I pushed through the screw, and that turned out to be okay. A little bit too much glue, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. After that, I did the other 3. Turned out to be pretty good. Used a little bit of sawdust from the lathe to actually wipe off the excess glue. Sorry about my arm there. I'm still getting used to this videos thing. And then once that was done, clean it up a little bit. Then it was time to actually put some holes through the screws for mounting it on the wall. So again, I pre-drilled the holes, got my screws ready, Pushed him through as much as possible without popping too much on the other side. And there it is, ready to be mounted. This is pretty much the advantage of having the screws slightly pop out, as I was able to position it on the drywall, never mind the fact that it's not painted yet. Or hell, there's not even plaster on the sides. And I just push it on the wall a little bit, and then those screws, they make a little bit of a hole, and the thing doesn't move around anymore. So screw one screw in, screw the other one in there, and once that's done, it's securely mounted. All I got to do now is put a couple of hats on, and this quick job is done. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And I'll see you next time.